Hey there, I'm Brandon. This is Dirt Church Devotional. You know, we're getting close to Christmas, and that means a lot of decorations are coming out. And one of my favorite decorations out there is the Nativity, and you're probably familiar with it. It's the manger with baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph. And there's always shepherds and there's always angels, and that's cool. But you know, they also always put wise men in there. And as much as I like the wise men, and as great as they are for the story, they weren't actually there. In fact, they didn't show up for like 2 more years. Then they got started on that night, but it took them a long time to get there. They weren't there. But it got me to thinking, if we're going to include people that weren't actually there, who else could we put in there? And I've got a couple of suggestions. Today I just want to talk about one, and that would be Elizabeth, the wife of Zechariah and the mother of John the Baptist. Now in Luke chapter 1, just before Gabriel appears to Mary, Gabriel appears to Zechariah, the priest. And it tells us that in the story, it tells us that his wife, Elizabeth, and he were both upright in the sight of the Lord and blameless in their observance of the rules and regulations. All right, so they were good people, and they were serving God, and they were doing it right. But it says that they were childless. Now you got to understand, in that day, for a woman to be childless, she was often considered cursed. And so let's fast forward for a minute. Zechariah is in the temple, and he's doing his thing, and the angel comes and tells him that, hey, his wife's going to get pregnant, and they're going to have a baby, and this is going to be John the Baptist, and he's going to be the forerunner. Now, here's a couple of things. Number one, they had prayed for a long time, but I think, this is just me, I think maybe they had given up. You ever give up on a prayer? You pray for it a long time and it doesn't happen. It's a hope, it's a dream, it's something you've been planning on and wishing, and it doesn't happen, so you give up. And you just kind of forget about it. Well, get this, God doesn't forget, and he didn't give up. And when they had got to the point where they had probably completely forgotten about it, Gabriel comes and says, hey, your prayers have been heard. Your wife is going to get pregnant. She's going to have a baby. Like, whoa. God hears and he remembers. And in his time, he brings about the blessing. Now, here's the other thing. Zechariah had to go home, talk with Elizabeth, and go through the process, do what he had to do what she had to do in order for her to get pregnant. That's all I'm going to say about this, but they had to operate in faith and in obedience. Now, here's something else that maybe you didn't catch. When Mary had her encounter with Gabriel and found out that she was going to be pregnant, and that she was going to have the Son of God, she took off and went to see Elizabeth, who was at that point in her 6th month. Here's the other thing that I think is so cool about Elizabeth and why she belongs in that nativity scene. She was the very first person, I'm not talking about an angel, I'm talking about very first person, human being, that confirmed to Mary that what she had heard from the angel was true. When Mary walked into that house and her voice reached Elizabeth's ears, Elizabeth let out a shout and proclaimed, wow, what have I done to deserve you being here, the mother of my Savior? She declared to Mary. So here's something else that we need to understand. You know, you might be getting along in years, and God is doing some great things in your life, but you got a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to that next generation, to encourage them, to embolden them, to confirm to them the things that God is doing. All right, chew on that. Maybe we'll talk about somebody else that should be in the nativity next time.